name for this disorder was psychopath, but the general public and media confused it with psycho and psychotic. So in the 1930s, the name was changed to sociopath. Recently, the media caused a misperception that sociopaths were always serial killers. So now, many call the condition antisocial personality disorder, aka ASPD. Some experts think that ASPD includes many things like narcissism, paranoia, and other conditions, including sociopathy. And others think that ASPD is the same thing as sociopathy. But the diagnostic criteria used to describe a diagnosed ASPD is different than sociopathy. As to the purpose of this article, well, we'll stick with the term sociopathy for tonight. Sociopaths don't have normal affection with other people. They don't feel attached to others. They don't feel love. That is why they don't have a conscience. If you harm someone, even someone you didn't know, you would feel guilt and remorse, right? Now, because you have that, ladies and gentlemen, is because most of you have a natural affinity for other human beings. You know how it feels to suffer, to fear, to feel anguish, and you naturally care about others. If you hurt someone you love, the guilt and remorse would even be worse because of your affection towards him or her. So, take that attachment and affection away, and you take away remorse, guilt, and any kind of normal feelings of fairness. And those that don't feel those feelings, well, surprise, they're sociopaths. Now, sociopaths in romantic relationships. Sociopaths can be very, very romantic, extremely charming, and incredibly generous. They will shower their target with attention, flattery, and gifts of all kinds. Jewelry, clothes, flowers, you name it. A sociopath will sweep you off your feet and treat you unlike anyone else has ever treated you. He or she will typically seal the relationship very quickly, often before he or she discards his or her current victim. Sociopaths have the ability to gain your affection very quickly, and a relationship with this sociopath becomes very intense very quickly. They say all the right things and do all the right things to get what they think they want for the moment. It is not unusual for a sociopath to provide an endless bout of support, running errands, organizing, and encouraging you when you need it. A romantic relationship is just another opportunity for a sociopath to find a trusting partner who buys into the lies and the BS. Everything about the relationship is a game to them. They can be extremely charming in a relationship while doing much damage behind the scenes by having countless affairs and lying about them. He or she will lie to get his or her latest target while he or she is lying to his or her current victim. A sociopath will show his or her true self when he or she has his or her next target lined up before he or she knows that his or her current relationship is coming to an end. Sociopaths fail to fulfill their promises or commitments made with romantic partners. They usually have a string of broken relationships or failed marriages due to their inability to feel true love and sustain intimate relationships. They never really form emotional attachments and therefore lack any sense of obligation. It may appear that there is an attachment, but it's not real. They give that off as an illusion. Now, Dr. Martha Stout, in her book, The Sociopath Next Door, sociopaths will marry, but never for love. Their relationships allow them to appear normal. Sociopaths can know the words, but not the music. They learn to appear emotional and romantic by imitating the behavior of others. Sociopaths show a stunning lack of concern for the devastating effects their actions have on others, including wives, children, family, and friends. They do not feel remorse, guilt, or shame. They are not able to care about the pain and suffering experienced by others due to their complete lack of empathy, for which is a prerequisite for love. Sociopaths are always takers and never givers, in spite of appearances and the illusion that they create. Now, how do you spot a sociopath? That is a very good question. The big question is, of course, how can you know whether someone is a sociopath or not? It's a difficult question, and even experts on the subject can be fooled easily. If you suspect that someone close to you is a sociopath, I suggest you look for the signs that they cared about it. Compare that person to the other people in your life and ask yourself these questions. 1. Do you often feel used by this person? 2. Have you often felt that he or she, because, women can be sociopaths too, have you often felt that they don't care about you or your feelings? 3. Does he or she always lie and deceive you? Number 4, does he or she tend to make contradictory statements? Number 5, does he or she tend to take from you and not give back much? Number 6, does he or she often appeal to pity? Does he or she try to make you feel sorry for him or her? Number 7, does he or she try to make you feel guilty? Even the littlest bit. Do they make you feel guilty, even for the stupidest stuff? And number 8, do you sometimes feel like he or she is taking advantage of your good nature? Number 9, does he or she seem easily bored and need constant stimulation? Number 10, does he or she use a lot of flattery? Does he or she interact with you in a way that makes you feel flattered even though he or she says nothing overtly complimentary? 11, does he or she make you feel worried? Does he or she do it obviously or more cleverly or sneakily? Number 12, does he or she give you the impression that you owe him or her? And number 13, this is the most important, ladies and gentlemen, and please listen up. Does she or he chronically fail to take responsibility for harming others? Does he or she blame everyone and everything but him or herself? If you answered to yes to, say, 5 or more of these questions, you may have encountered a sociopath, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you also have to ask yourself, and do they do these things far more than the other people in your life? If you answered yes to many of these questions that I asked you tonight, you may be dealing with a sociopath, ladies and gentlemen. And for sure you're dealing with someone who isn't good for you, whatever you want to call him or her. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, what does a sociopath really want? Well, this is an interesting question for you to answer. Of course, most of our purposes are strongly influenced by our connections and affections with others, our relationships with others and our love for them, giving us most of the meaning and purpose in our lives. If a sociopath does not have these things, what is left? What kind of purpose do they have? Well, I'll tell you what, the answer is really going to freak you all out. It's a very chilling answer. They want to win. That's right. They want to win. This is a game to them. Take away love and relationships, and all you have left is winning the game, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever that game is. If they are in a business, it's becoming rich and defeating the competent competitors. If it's sibling rivalry, it's defeating the sibling. If it's a contest, the goal is to dominate. If a sociopath is the envious sort, winning could simply be making the other lose or fail to be frustrated or embarrassed. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, if a sociopath sees an object of their desire, and that object of their desire is in a happy relationship, or like, for example, a marriage, they will use that opportunity to destroy that marriage or that relationship just to get to their goal. A sociopath's goal is to win, and he or she is willing to do anything at all to win. Sociopaths don't have as much to think about as normal people like you or I do. So they can be very clever and conniving. Sociopaths aren't busy being concerned with relationships or moral dilemmas or conflicting feelings like you or I do. So they have much more time to think about clever ways to gain your trust and stab you in the back. And do it without anyone knowing what is happening. One of the questions in the questions that I had you answer, well, the answer is about boredom. The real problem for a sociopath is that they seem frantically driven to prevent boredom, ladies and gentlemen. The reason it looms so large to them, and it seems so strange to the rest of us, is that our relationships with people occupy a good amount of our time and attention and interest us intensely. Take that away, and all you have is playing to win, which is rather shallow and empty in comparison. So boredom is a constant problem for sociopaths, and they have an incessant urge to keep up with a high level of stimulation, even negative stimulation. Drama, worry, upset, etc. is more tolerable to a sociopath than boredom. Sociopaths also like to drink. Well, most sociopaths have alcohol problems. And sometimes another characteristic of a sociopath is they have an extremely high sex drive. So they're not monogamous people mostly. Most sociopaths, especially male sociopaths, will go to bars or they will go to sex clubs to target their next victims. They always look for ones with low self-esteem. And then what they do is that they morph themselves into what the victim wants. And then after a while, they can reveal their true face. And by that time, in most cases, it's too late and the victim is trapped. Now, here I might mention that the research shows sociopaths don't feel emotions the same way normal people do. Now, for example, they don't experience fear as unpleasant. This goes a long way to making their inexplicable behavior comprehensible. Some feelings that you and I might find intolerable might not bother a sociopath at all. Now, how do we deal with these sociopaths? Well, I will tell you there's no common cure for sociopathy. In fact, some evidence-success therapy makes them worse because they use the therapeutic interactions to learn more about the human vulnerabilities that they can exploit. They learn how to manipulate better and learn better excuses so that others will believe. So in other words, they become better liars. They don't usually seek therapy unless there is something to gain from it. Now, given all that, there's only one solution for dealing with a sociopath. Get him or her completely out of your life for good. This seems radical, and of course you want to be fairly sure your diagnosis is correct. But you need to protect yourself from the drain on your time, attention, money, and good attitude. Healing and helping a sociopath is a pointless waste of time, is a pointless waste of your life. That's not your mission, ladies and gentlemen. It's not your responsibility. You have your own goals in your own life, and all of those are your responsibility. If there are children involved, that complicates the issue, of course. And, well, there's some places where you can read more about it online. In Hare's book, Without Conscience, he says that before you diagnose someone as a sociopath, he recommends you get a full clinical diagnostic, including an extensive interview with a sociopath by a qualified psychotherapist, plus interviews with the sociopath's bosses, coworkers, friends, and family. Okay, yeah, right. Now, yeah, good luck with that one, guys. I agree that it would be ideal, but if you can get a sociopath to submit to an interview, you would be very astonished. A lot of them are able to pass lie detector test. So you'll have to do the best you can with whatever information you can get. I don't recommend that you tell anyone you've diagnosed him or her as a sociopath. In fact, I strongly urge you not to. It can be very dangerous. I don't even know if it's a good idea to tell anyone about your conclusion. Just get the sociopath the hell out of your life, and with as little fanfare as possible. The only exception we would make to this rule is if the sociopath is living someone else's life a living hell. It seems wrong to leave her to the wolves while you slink off. I don't recommend you try to convince your friends